If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. In fact, I'm recording this on my phone. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. In Season 2 of Hacks and Hobbies, we're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life who want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around.
Today, our guest is Falguni Katira. She is a brand or a purpose-based marketer. I met her through many different platforms and we've got a really awesome human connection. We've got really cool stories between us and wanted to bring her on to the podcast and her, listen to her story. She's doing some awesome things in the community. And I was like, this is something that we love, enabling normal humans, everybody, into helping each other. And she's got an awesome story. So, Falguni, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Absolutely. The pleasure is mine. Thank you, Junaid.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, your story, and how you got here and what's going on.
Sure. So I am currently living in the Bay Area, purpose-based marketer, working in San Francisco and having two kids, managing, and they are very young, so 4 and 6. So it's yes. So managing them, so busy being a mother, busy being an entrepreneur on the side, like a side hustler, busy being the purpose-based marketer. So it's and busy being a wife. It's all multifaceted, and it's all going pretty well, keeping me very, very busy. But I'm enjoying every different aspect of it. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yes, I have been living in the East Coast for a very, very long time, and coming to Bay Area past couple of years ago has been the newest biggest change that has happened right after the kids. So it has been pretty life-changing in the sense of, the work culture, the lifestyle completely has been very different and things like that. So life has been different, yes. And I'm enjoying every different aspect of it again. So
that's very cool. So you were out here in the East Coast before?
I was in the East Coast, yes.
Nice. Around which area?
So I was in the New York, New Jersey, and Delaware belt. I've lived in all of those three cities for many years in Delaware. I was working at Barclays, so my job got me there, and I've been living there for many, many years.
Nice.
Before I moved to California.
Yeah, California is a totally different beast. Good friend of mine who I went to school with, he also lived in New Jersey for a while, and then his job took him to San Francisco. And he's like, this is way too expensive. I am going back. So after 2 years, back to New Jersey.
Yes, I do still miss I do miss the seasons. I miss my friends. My son misses the snow. It has been we're trying to settle down. It was very interesting. When we moved here, we moved for family. My husband's brother lives here. So we moved to live closer to them. But it was very interesting because I moved from Delaware at that point. So it was like the second smallest state to the second biggest state.
Yeah.
Tax to the highest tax state. It was a lot of changes, right?
Yeah.
So we were like, what should we do? Do we want to really live here, etc.? So it was very interesting. We thought that now that we really in the back of our heads, we knew we want to settle here just for family.
Mhm.
So we were looking into houses and stuff like that. And the day we bought the house, and we are like, okay, now this is all getting real. So that was the day we went to the DMV and got our license and stuff, because
Yeah.
now we are really living here. It was, yeah, it's a big change.
Yeah, I actually moved from the West Coast to the East Coast because my wife's family is out here and she wanted to be closer to them. And for the past 3 years, we lived in a rental place, but then finally when we bought our place, then and I was like, all right, now we've kind of settled down here,
Right.
get integrated and see what's going on, kind of deal.
Right, right.
Cool. So what are you specifically so you had an awesome story that you told me about and how you're working with a close knit family or people and teaching how you can go back into the corporate world after being in the house for a while.
That's right. It is my deep passion. I really believe. So I and the story really goes like I'm a mother. I have been staying at home. I took a break from corporate world and spend the time to be with my kids. And
Yeah.
I know many families, many friends of mine that have done the same. Some of them have gone back to the corporate world and gotten back into the routine. Some of them are struggling. Some of them don't want to. So there are different perspectives of ladies alone on all of this, right? So
Right.
women alone think very differently. Some of them tied, but one common thread is that all of them tied to their self-respect and their confidence, right? So the
Yeah.
ones that have gotten back because they wanted to prove it to themselves, more than anything else. And it was there are a lot of stories that really got me into thinking that we are all, wanting each other's help to kind of cope up with this, right? Because
Yeah.
motherhood itself is a huge change. It is life changing, really. And
Yeah.
then, and not only just, mentally, in every aspect of it is changing, right? So to firstly accept that as it is, and then to really take that situation to our advantage, not doing injustice to the kid, not spending that required time with the kid, etc., is a different struggle
Yeah.
altogether that every woman goes through. But besides that, there are many other ladies, I mean women that I know that have not been able to get back to the corporate world because they recently moved to the United States and they are on an immigrant visa, so cannot for what, just to make sure that all of this is kind of brought into conversations. All of this is kind of acknowledged, and people who are going through some of these challenges feel heard, feel like acknowledged, and then they are also seeking help, which is why I kind of spend so much time that I do with all of these individuals, right?
Yeah.
And then so yes, so being very close, some of my close friends are in that situation, were in that situation, and some of them fear to be in that situation, which is why they are thinking about when to have a child and whatnot. So I've kind of had the spectrum of all of these different stages, if you will. It is very interesting how we all think and make these big life decisions based on our fears and our confidence. So all of this is extremely interesting to me, and which is why I have the side hustle wherein I am talking to the community centers and going and talking to the stay at home moms and having like sort of some small little gatherings at this point. I want to eventually blow it out into bigger seminars, etc. But right now I'm just kind of source gathering, trying to be that flag bearer that it's really okay. The first step is to accept the current situation, right? You cannot work because of visa, because of kids, because of whatnot. It's okay, right?
Yeah.
It has to be understood as something that I cannot do because of a serious certain limitation. Some of it could be just self born, like it could be something that is self inflicted. Some of it could be real in the sense of, yes, this country you do not have the right permit to work, which is a totally different story, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, some of it is like, I don't know if I can get back. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'll get a job. Those are
Yeah.
the kind of things that, and then luckily, I think I am in the best place actually to talk about this, to raise awareness about this, because I am in the Bay Area in San Francisco, where there
Yeah.
are many companies that are completely open about all of this. There are many companies that are accepting of people that have taken a certain sabbatical for whatever reason and are wanting to come back. So they're wanting to ignore that aspect of it and really look into what they've done in the past and how much are they willing to put to kind of come back up to speed and really contribute, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
they're looking into that aspect of the passion that that person is bringing and the ability that that person has, barring the fact that that person could not work because of whatever reason, right? So,
Yeah.
so all of those things are extremely important. I have been on an H1 visa, on an H4 visa, I believe,
Mhm.
wherein I was not allowed. In the US, so I've been through that as well. I've been through I could work, but I mean I had the legal permit to work, but I was having kids and I didn't want to be away from them, which is why I didn't work. So I've and before coming to the US, I'm from India. So before coming to the US, I was working in India and I was having a fantastic career, which I literally kind of stopped and came to this country with my husband. So there have been many changes that have kind of
Absolutely. Yeah.
helped me look at all of this in the right light. And in hindsight, I mean, everything makes sense, and all of that is part of the journey anyway, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And all of it is also coming back.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's a totally different view. It's a totally different. I mean, especially when you have to uproot your life that you've planned out, and this is what's going to happen. But then there's these changes that come, and then you're left wondering, okay, what's the next step? How do I get over this hurdle? And having a mentor like yourself, is a having somebody to talk to, somebody who's gone through the same issues and whatnot. It definitely helps to figure out, okay, these are the next things that I need to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, once I kind of started this journey and started talking to people, and it all kind of happened when my friends started sharing, and I was like, okay, this is a theme that I'm seeing. My friends in India, my friends in Europe, like, there are many people. And now, we have the ability to talk to everyone around the world almost at a click of a button. So it just becomes easier. So I kind of literally proactively reached out after a point when I started seeing a theme. I proactively reached out to my friends some of them are living in Australia, some are, all different parts of the world. And
Yeah.
believe me, everybody has the same underthought. Like everybody has the same pulse, if you will, when it comes to, getting back to work after having a kid or, not being able to work because of whatever other reason, right? So,
Yeah.
and each of us have different abilities. Some of them, I know some beautiful stories also of women that took up their passion for cooking or their passion for baking, etc., and
Mhm.
out into a full blown career wherein they don't have to leave the house. They can be with the kid, but also do something that they feel worthy of, right?
Yeah.
Is also
Absolutely.
fantastic. Like, those are also beautiful stories that we share with people that are, not able to really bring up their mind to really get out of the house, if you will, right? And then
Yeah.
now, I think with the work from home culture, etc., a lot of things are changing, a lot of them.
Yes.
So yeah, it is interesting to see how the companies are also really. I mean, the corporate America is also extremely sensitive towards this issue, which is why many bigger companies are actually providing some facilities for the new moms. The whole, I think the paid time off once you have a kid is also extending us. I think all of these things are resulting into a better and more stronger workforce, if you will, that are
Yeah.
dedicated to come back to work as well.
No, you're absolutely right. It there's a lot of awareness in this
Yes,
area, and it's good for the future. It's good for the current state of families because, like you mentioned, you started seeing this pattern emerging from a lot of people, no matter what part of the world they were in, and you
absolutely.
notice that a lot of us, Generation X, generation, pre-generation, or the pre millennials, we have we you, you're facing this, And I was speaking with my good friend Jodie Fox, and she was saying, one TV show that she relates to is called Younger.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the show, but I've seen the show, and it's a single mom, and she pretends to be in her 20s just so she can get a job and get away from it all. Although she's
Wow.
in her 40s, and it's a really fun TV show, and it
Uh-huh.
addresses a lot of these things that people are facing. It's really interesting.
Right. Yes. No, and then the other thing is also, the other aspect is about the guilt, of leaving the kids and going. So, regardless of, okay, you kind of um, are okay to get back and get that confidence back to going to work is one thing. And then the other thing is to gather the guts to actually leave the kid and to find the right caretaker to make sure that you get back on time, etc. All the other stresses that kind of come with that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so that, and are they eating well or not, are they doing this or not, there are a lot of things that go on. And when the kids grow up, and then it's like, are they watching a lot of TV, are they eating well, are they thinking that I'm not spending enough time with them? Oh my god, I went through that, and I was like, is my son really thinking that I'm not spending enough time? Are they really thinking I'm a good mom or a bad mom? Oh my god. And I have to talk about this to my friends, and they're like, it's funny you say that, I was
yeah,
thinking exactly the same, and all of that. Like, oh wow. So all of this is so real that you can actually touch it, you can feel it, like this is all really what people think.
yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting. I remember asking my 3-year-old at that point, I was like, how do you like mama? And then he's like, I love her. I was like, is she good or very good? Because at that point he started understanding good and very good and all.
Yeah,
So, and he was like, she's the best. And I'm like, oh my God, it literally tears rolled down my eyes. I was like, this is exactly what I wanted to hear. It's
exactly.
just some small sort of those gratifications that we get from here and there. Like, oh yes, you get that reality check. You feel like, okay, I can breathe again. So,
That's right.
um, yeah, a lot of those things really make a difference. And I think now, so I got back to work right after my older one was a year old. And
Mhm.
then for my younger one, I took about um, 6 months break, and then I continued to work.
Yeah,
Now they are 4 and 6, as I mentioned, and
yeah,
they're completely used to the lifestyle that we have. So we
mhm.
leave in the morning, all four of us, and we come back in the evening, all four of us, and
Yeah,
and we have the time before and after and stuff like that. So they are completely used to it. It just becomes a part of life. It's uh, something that they find unusual if that is not the case, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so the fear that we have at that point, however real it may be, it's all going to be okay, once you take that step, once you dare to actually do it.
Yes.
So yeah.
No, that's so true because when you think about it, this is, we bring them in this world, and it's good that we have these thoughts. Hey, are we paying them enough attention? Are we taking care of all the things that they need? Because that in itself is a sign of a good parent, because at least you have the time to even think that in that way. Because if you and I were a bad parent, we wouldn't even think about that. We would just continue on living our lives and feeding them when they tell us they're hungry rather than thinking about, okay, you need to go eat right now because it's time to eat. And it's a really interesting aspect, because when I was growing up, my grandmother and my mom, the one thing on top of their, I mean, I'm also from the Southeast Asia, and
Mhm.
the one thing that they would always ask, did you eat? Did you eat? Did you eat? What did you eat? What did you eat? You should eat this. You should eat this. You should drink this water. They had almost like a disease. It's not a disease, but it's that parent, that nurture aspect of being a parent. Making sure that your kids are fed, that they're not hungry, they're not cranky. And now being parents, it's on top of mind all the time. Like, all right, did my kid eat?
Right.
and then they'll start acting out and coming and asking you, hey, can I have some cookies? Can I have some this? I'm like, well, did you have lunch? I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, well, you're not having cookies till you have some lunch. So yeah, it's really cool that there's so many people we can talk about this and touch those subjects and have even just talking about it and getting tips and how can we do this better? How can we be better parents? It's a huge opportunity for us.
See, the best thing I tell you when I go to this sessions or the talks or whatever you call it, when I go there, the light that I see in people's face when I say, you are okay, you are not doing anything wrong. Like literally, this sentence, like literally brings a smile, gives them that affirmation or something that they're looking for because
Yeah.
probably not being told that, or they're not telling themselves that more.
Yeah.
That is more the case, right? So I'm like, just tell yourself, I am okay, right? It is fine. Whatever I have done up until now is all okay. And what I'm going to do from now is also all okay. What I'm going to do is let's talk about that, right? So it is really important to really firstly accept and forgive ourselves. It is
Yes.
most fundamental, and which is what we do not have. We do not accept because I'm like, I wish. So you're not currently accepting the situation that you are in, which is why you just keep on wishing and cannot do anything about it. And then the second thing is, I'm so bad. I think I did this wrong. I'm so bad to spend time with the kid, or I'm not able to go back to work. I am bad. No, we have to stop that. Like stopping that and that belief is really what I'm extremely interested in. I literally want to tell every single woman that thinks like that, stop it. Like, really. So that
Yeah.
self talk is what the self narrative should change completely to it is okay. Like, these things, we sometimes say it very loosely and we sometimes don't say it when we need to say it. It is okay. Right?
Yeah.
So, those are the kind of things that really interest me. The other aspect that I really am also intrigued about is the support that they have at home. There are so many women that, and I'm sorry, I'm again and again saying women because that is how traditionally it has always been, and still in some parts of the world or many parts of the world, it is still traditionally the women. But there are many men who are now stepping up, helping, and they are very progressive in their thoughts, etc. So I have utmost respect for them. So it's nothing about not talking about men or not empathizing with them. I very much do. But what I'm saying is generally I've seen my target audience for some of these talks have always been women, right?
Yeah.
So this shows me some sort of a trend. But regardless of that, I am appreciative of everybody that kind of attends. But the point is that some of these men are really extremely supportive. In fact, come and tell me, can you talk to my wife? I really want her to feel good about herself. And at some point it is also like they may be saying it to their spouses, but once you kind of numb that out, right? You don't want to get that validation from somebody who you already know does it to you. You want it to hear it from somebody else, right? So
Exactly. Yeah.
right, so that is the kind of things, so that, and some of them are believing that really she's not good for nothing and all of that. So there are two different types of reactions as well, right?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
but the good news is that many of them, at least in the first world countries, are supportive, are the ones who come and say, can you talk to my wife? I really want her to pursue her passion. I really want her to do that. My husband was one of those, which is why I, feel empowered to really talk about that and to be the person that I'm ultimately able to be because of his support. So, there are a lot of things that go into raising kids, even, thinking about it and the whole dynamic. It's a lot different.
It
I was
is.
talking friend of mine, and he was mentioning that he was the only person working, and they had 3 kids at the point, and so the wife decided to stay at home with the kids, etc. I don't want to disregard the pressure that it may have put on yourself, like you may have put on yourself in terms of being the sole breadwinner. So you have to make sure that your kids and your wife and everybody are fed well, and what else can you do, right? Because it is very difficult, right? So it is a interesting dynamic. It is something that as a family we can all come together and decide as to what the next course is best for our family, what is the best solution, and then do that with respect. Mom is
Absolutely.
not to work because she has so much to do at home, right? It is a
Yeah.
totally different thing versus she's not good for nothing and that's why she's not going. That's a totally different thought, right?
Yes, it is.
So it is a lot about the tone that we use, that oh, I'm just at home, or no, I am at home because I want to take care of my kids. It's a totally different thing that you even tell yourself before you tell
Yeah,
it to others,
exactly. No, you're
right?
absolutely right. That makes so much sense because you've got to have the respect because being married and raising kids, it's not that, the home, all the home tasks are somebody, one person's job versus outside work is somebody else's job. It's that we're both partners, right? As
Absolutely.
parents, we're not, it's not 50-50. It's not 60-60. It's 100%, 100%, because that's
Right.
what you got to bring to the
Right.
partnership, right? If you're not doing 100%, then that means that, you're not committed to the relationship. You're not committed to the family, and it's just not going to end well. So
Right,
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and then that partnership actually also shows on the upbringing that the kids have, and what their internal dialogue happens, what their inner
Mhm.
voice builds out to be. So I think
Exactly.
that partnership and to show that to the kids is extremely important as well, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly. It's
yeah,
very important.
yeah, very important to be expressive, very important to tell the kids if they are thinking about certain, friends or somebody like that differently. It is very important to correct them that no, because kids are also kids. They can
Hmm.
not going to work. So one of my friend was went back to school after having the kids, right? So
Hmm.
sorry. So my son goes
Nice.
like, so it's like, are you so tomorrow when your mom goes to work, can you do something like that? He was saying so the kid goes like, no, my mom is not going to go to work, she's going to go to school. What? School? Like, is she a kid? Like, the whole aspect of so kid so adults going to school was something so new, and that was the
Yeah.
time I was like, oh my god, you cannot prepare enough for your kids to say the most appropriate things they're going to say
Hmm.
naturally to them, and you don't want to curb that, right? I'm like, okay, but then I took the time to really explain to him that this is how adults also go to school. We have gone to school, like, because here we defer to college and stuff like that as school, right?
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
like it
It's a
was
different
really
word.
interesting to overhear that conversation, and I'm like, wow, what kids think, right? And
Yeah,
how they think. So yeah, it is
yeah.
interesting.
That's so cool. That's really, very, really, yeah. Because kids will say, they don't have a filter. Like
Exactly.
I mean, that's exactly what they hear, and that's exactly what they're gonna say, and which is 100% accurate. The context is what's missing in that respect.
Right, right, right. Yes, they have not seen it any other way, so they
Hmm.
don't know, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, makes a lot of difference.
Sweet. No, it does make a lot of difference. And I mean, we've had I've had conversations of being a parent, being an entrepreneur, and how to juggle the many things that we're doing with Errol Erdeman on one of the podcast episode. And this is a great going back into parenting, and making sure that we're doing everything that we can as parents to provide all that we know, like all the things that we were not privy of, growing up. We want
Right,
them to have the best of everything in the world, and that's why our kids have so many toys because we want to
right,
make sure they're happy.
right, right,
It's a different question if those toys get cleaned up at the end of the day, or we have to go clean up after them. That's a totally different
right,
story. Uh, but
right.
yeah, cool. So I mean, we had some really good, those are some really awesome stories. I love it. I love what you're doing, being the global goodwill ambassador. I saw that you've been a volunteer in this space for a very long time, which is really awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Uh,
All right.
the point is to just spread as much light as possible and make this world a better place, because it truly is if we look
Yes.
at it in the right light, right?
Yes. It is. It
So
is.
Yeah,
It's the only world we've got.
absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So at
Yes.
this point of the conversation, I'd like to take our audience or our guests to a new level and ask some questions about their hobbies, and because this is a Hacks and Hobbies show. So, what is one hobby that you wish you got into in your life?
I wish I got back to painting. Yeah. I left it when I was, right after
Hmm.
marriage, and I want to
Hmm.
get back.
Nice. Yeah, painting
Yeah.
is a lot of fun. Um,
But yes, and it is just therapeutic actually. So
hmm.
I go on this paint with a twist kind of nights or paint nights with my friends and so on,
Uh-huh.
and it just
Yeah.
kind of brings back the whole beautiful memories of actually creating paintings and then having it in my dad's office and at my home, and it's
Nice.
all beautiful. So yeah, I wish I get gotten back to that. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, what is next question? What is your favorite movie or TV show? And if none, how about a book?
My favorite book has really been The One Thing and Start with the Why. Those are the two books that really kind of brought me back to where I really should have been in terms of my mindset, my approach, etc. So
Hmm.
those are my most favorite books. My
Nice.
best TV shows have been Friends and Sex and the City.
Okay. All right. The One Thing was an amazing book. I read that one. I have to go check out Start with Why.
Yeah,
Um, and Start with Why is also something that as a UX designer we ask why a lot more than anything else, because we want to understand why users are doing what they're doing, and how they get better at using, or how we get design better applications, so they have to jump through less and less hoops, friction.
absolutely. It is such
Yeah.
a huge problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep on asking yourself why, but why this, but why that. And then as a marketer, I can completely resonate with that as well, because
Mm-hmm.
the most important thing that we have to answer is why. Why for the audience is this right? Why for the business is this right? Why is this the right channel? Why is this the right message? Why is it solving this need versus that, etc. So getting into that brings out a lot of clarity. And for me, the why is being a purpose based marketer. I completely kind of get into that drill in my head and into the meetings that I attend, just because I want to make sure that we are all aligned with the why, the
Yeah.
purpose. So it is
Perfect.
extremely, yeah, it is very important, and it's something that I practice every time, every day, because it helps me
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
No, it does, because it forces the requester to give us a reason why they're thinking that way, and is there any other way.
Exactly. Yes.
Awesome. All right. What is your favorite superhero? I know this is kind of a geeky question, because I love movies and I love superheroes and comics, and like bring that around and see what people think.
I am very traditional in that sense, and I
Hmm.
I love to believe, and I've always believed as a child that my ultimate superhero is one of the deity that we refer to as Hanuman.
Hmm. Hmm.
That I have always seen of him as a superhero. I don't. I mean, I've watched all the movies that the
Hmm.
Superman etc. that my kids watch,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Cool. So Hanuman is your superhero.
yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Okay. Last question. What if you were a board game? Which one would it be?
That is an interesting question. Okay, this one I didn't see coming, my friend.
Yeah.
I have to think.
That's the one I keep it for the last.
Yes, yes, I have to think. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I love playing apples to apples
Hmm.
sequence.
Hmm.
Yeah, lot of ones. Scrabble.
Scrabble, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Those are the ones.
So which board game would you be if you were to pick one?
Let's say it's all about putting the pieces together and making sense. So Scrabble.
Scrabble, yeah, that's a good game. We celebrated my oldest son's birthday yesterday, and somebody gave him Scrabble for a gift. So like, cool. We were just talking about it the other day.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Falguni, thank you so much for your time. Before we go, I would like to, where can my audience find you?
On LinkedIn, the most.
LinkedIn, okay.
Yes, LinkedIn is my go-to.
Awesome. We'll be sure to include your LinkedIn profile information on the show's note, so audience can reach out to you, find out how can they become a purpose-based marketer, or if they want to help in the area where you're providing information with people coming back to work, and how can they be more confident and be more strong and self-aware and be able to take challenges head on and not be afraid.
Absolutely, always welcome, man. Always.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Falguni. This was really nice talking with you. We'll talk with you soon.
Thank you very much. And before we go, what is your favorite board game?
So my favorite board game is Settlers of Catan.
Oh, I love that game.
Yes.
See? Yeah, I didn't think I love that one, yes.
No problem. Yeah, Settlers of Catan has a nice mix between Monopoly and what's the other game? Risk. So it's more like a collaboration game, as well as a take all. I mean, you have to collaborate. You have to work with other people to share resources and whatnot. But then when you're on a roll, you can totally take over and block other people from advancing.
Yes. Oh, I love that game. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Falguni. This was awesome.
Yeah, pleasure talking to you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the episode. Thanks so much for listening to our guest on this episode. Please send me an email at junaid@hacksandhobbies.com to tell me what you loved about our guest today. You could find links mentioned in this episode on the hacksandhobbies.com website.